17:38. I'm like, hey, what's up, hello? Since you're pretty, soon as you came in the door, I just wanna chill, got a sack for us to roll. Married to the money, introduced her to my stove. Showed her how to whip it, now she remixing for low. She my track queen, let her hit the bando. We be counting up, watch how far them bands go. We just set it go, talking matching Lambos. At 56 a gram, 500 grams though. Man, I swear I love her, how she work the damn pole. Hit the strip club, we be letting bands go. Everybody hating, we just call them fans though. In love with the money, I ain't never letting go. And I get high with my baby, baby. I just love the mall, I'm getting fly with my baby, yeah. And I get ride with my baby, baby. I be in the kitchen cooking pies with my baby, yeah. And I get ride with my baby. I just love the mall, I'm getting fly with my baby, yeah. And I get ride with my baby. I be in the kitchen cooking pies. I'm like, hey, I hit the strip with my track queen, cause all we know is biz. I just might snatch a Ferrari and buy my boo a limb. I just might snatch her a necklace, drop a couple on the ring. She ain't wantin' for nothing because I got her everything. Is big zoo up on the band though. Remind me where I can't go. Remy Bush got the stamp though. Kind of hell of the bands though. Boy, how fucking your bands go fatty? Wap on them at 50,000 K. How I stand though? If you check it from my pockets, I'm lost. And I get high with my baby, baby. I just love the mall, I'm getting fly with my baby, yeah. And I get ride with my baby, baby. I be in the kitchen cooking pies with my baby, yeah. And I get ride with my baby, baby. I just left the mall, I'm getting fly with my baby, yeah. And I get ride with my baby, baby. I be in the kitchen cooking pies. I'm like, hey, what's up, hello? Since you're pretty, soon as you came in the door, I just wanna chill, got a sack for us to roll. Married to the money, introduced her to my stove. Showed her how to whip it, now she remixing for low. She my track queen, let her hit the bando. We be counting up, watch how far them bands go. We just set it though, talking matching Lambos. 56 a gram, 500 grams though. Man, I swear I love her, how she work the damn pole. Hit the strip club, we be letting bands go. Everybody hating, we just call them fans though. In love with the money, I ain't never let go. I be smoking, but you know backwards what I roll. Remy boy, fatty, eating up, that's for sure. I run in your house, then I Remy boys is nothing, Remy boys is nothing.
Yeah, you hit my boy. Sounding like a zillion bucks on a track. I got whatever on my board, whatever. Put your money where your mouth is. Money on the wood, make the game go good. Money out of sight cause fights. Put up or shut up, huh? Knit the grit, huh? RGF Productions.
How's it going? How's it going, everybody? Dan Cohen here. That was Fetty Wap with Trap Queen, and you are going to see, if you stick around in this stream, you are going to see, or continue watching this video. If you're not watching it live, you will see why that is an extremely relevant song regarding Candace Owens, who, as I am stating in the title of this video, is a DNC actor. Yes, that Candace Owens that is currently in St. Petersburg, Russia, being heralded as some kind of bridge between the United States and Russia and a voice of sanity. She is, in fact, a DNC actor, the Democratic National Committee. In fact, you cannot spell Candace without DNC. So, again, my name is Dan Cohen. It is Thursday, June 4th at 2:38 p.m. here in Washington, D.C. And it's just a pretty remarkable moment. See what's going on here. Let me know if you can see me, if you're with me. Who's with me? I'm going to see if I can open up. This is a one-man show. I'm doing all of the production here, which is very confusing and is not my strength at all. And I'm trying to make it all happen. So I appreciate your patience, bearing with me as I do this. Okay, I've got the chat open. I have 8 viewers on YouTube. That's great. That's 8 more than 0. So thank you all for joining me. This is what can I say? A couple days ago, 2 days ago, you may have seen me expose Hassan Piker in the most obvious way that everyone just simply missed, or I would say more likely ignored Hassan Piker as a tool of this very same establishment, the national security state, posing as some kind of left-wing revolutionary streamer, but in fact he's just a tool of the national security state operation known as the WME group, headed by Ari Emanuel of the Emanuel family. His brother is Rahm Emanuel, the longtime Clinton-Obama chief of staff, ambassador to Japan, 3-time Democratic congressman, and 2-time, I believe, mayor of Chicago. That is the family that's basically running the show, not only for Hassan Piker, but Ari Emanuel was also the agent for a guy named Donald Trump, and also for a lady named Hillary Clinton, and many, many others, including Joe Rogan, including Theo Vaughn, the big podcasters and thought leaders. And I'm going to show you in this stream today that beloved Candace Owens, this voice of sanity in St. Petersburg right now, the supposed voice of sanity, is in fact a tool, was a creation of the Clinton machine. And that might be a bitter pill. That might be painful for people to swallow, because that means that a huge, huge, huge amount of people have been taken in, have lost the plot, have been have consumed so much propaganda that they don't know which way is up or down or left or right, and they are being turned against their own interests. It's especially people on the left, the anti-imperialist left, the anti-war left, from which I sort of ideologically come from, people that I used to associate with, are very much taken in by this, or some of them are, I have no doubt, are part of this whole show. And so I thank you for being with me. I'm up to 17 viewers. That's I've doubled in mere minutes. If we keep that up, then maybe my viewership will grow too. I have something like 15,000 followers on YouTube, and it just has been getting smaller since I've been more active. Whereas when I launched this channel and I was talking about Israel and Gaza, etc., then it was growing at a remarkable rate. But since I've been talking about other things that are more challenging to the establishment, to which Candace Owens and Hassan Piker and many others belong to, my numbers have just magically stopped growing. I wonder why that is. Well, so let's get into it. I very first, most important, need to give some credit. I'm gonna just bring this up. Here's me in the corner. That's me in the corner. I don't know if anyone is old enough to catch that REM joke, REM reference. The person who opened my eyes to this, once again, if you've heard any of my streams in the last couple days or the last months, though I haven't been terribly active, but the rare occasion that I am active, and you can see I'm more active lately, is a guy named Mark Kulak, who turned me on to this, who has laid out the case that Candace Owens is a national security actor. You could say, DNC, but it's, again, like with Hassan Piker, it's bigger than just the DNC. It's not a blue-red thing at the end of the day. It's a national security imperative. And if you saw the thumbnail that I used, it was my take on what Mark did. You can see directly above my head. There's Candace's face with "Can DNC." So I certainly do not mean to plagiarize Mark by at all. It's just such a good thumbnail that I wanted to, improve it, whatever, make it my own. And so that's I'm just trying to get the message out. So all credit, a lot of credit to Mark. All credit for opening my eyes to this. I have some research that he didn't come across that just reinforces the thesis that he developed, really. So I think it's very important to get out there. So check out, if you really want to do the deep dive on Candace and not understand, it's bigger than Candace. It's not just that Candace Owens is a national security actor and that's all you have to know. It's, well, what is the real agenda behind this theater of Hassan Piker and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson's of the world? What is all of these actors that are on this stage? What is the point of it? It's not just for entertainment. If it's a national security imperative, then what's the national security agenda? And I'm going to try to touch on that at the very, very end. I'm going to, again, I'll try to check comments here. I'm not great at it. I'm not like Hassan Piker. I just noticed I've never watched streamers. That's not my thing. I don't like being in front of the computer and watching this stuff all the time. I just do it because it's got to be done. But Hassan Piker will just sit there and read comments nonstop. It's amazing. Like, that's actually getting anywhere. That's educating or teaching anyone. It's just making America dumb, making his audiences dumb. That's what Hassan Piker does. So let's get into the good stuff here. One more thing I'll say. I just want to make sure I give enough proper credit to Mark Kulak of Houstonic Live. Look at how many videos he has done on this subject. If I look up Candace on his stream.houstonic.live page, there are 72 instances. That doesn't mean the whole thing is about Candace, but I haven't seen anyone come remotely close to this. And look at this. Look at the number of views he gets. Let's go to one of the earlier ones. I don't know. That's been a while. 70 views here on his PeerTube. So it's you can go back and watch and try to understand through Mark's work. It's challenging because he's learning as he goes and developing his analysis, and to go back and review that is time consuming and difficult, but not impossible. So anyway, credit to Mark. Let's get into it. So we have Candace Owens in St. Petersburg right now. She was just there for a big economic forum. And what a moment, she says. She's being swarmed by Russian media. And the comments, "Wherever you go, you are a star, which is why I need you to DM me, please. The world loves you for telling the truth." And what did she talk about? She talked about, apparently, the importance of big families, because Candace is supposedly a family-first, God-fearing American, and she has that in common with Russia, that she's really a conservative. She really believes in these things. Well, I'm about to burst that bubble and show some uncomfortable truths about the beloved Candace Owens. And it starts here. You understand why I started with that Fetty Wap song? Here it is. Listen. This video right here is an incredible piece of evidence that Candace Owens is a DNC actor. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. So this video is from August 5th, 2015. It is Candace Owens, you can see on the right, dancing there in front of a green screen with two other women. She's obviously much younger. She's, looking good, scantily clad there. Good for her. And they're dancing, having fun to the Fetty Wap song about making money and women and drugs and whatever else. pretty standard behavior for 20-somethings to be dancing to that song. That's not what's so remarkable. What's so remarkable is who are these other two young women and who is making this video. Well, I don't see anybody guessing in the chat. I know I have 37 viewers, doing good. 37 live viewers right now. If anyone wants to just throw a guess out, any ideas who is specifically, you can see on my cursor there, who is this young lady? Okay, well, that young lady her name is Zoe Weiner. This is her Instagram. Oh man, I had to scroll way down to find some stuff. I guess I left it there. Zoe Weiner, Zelen. She is I sort of feel bad for highlighting Zoe Weiner. Zoe Weiner is a new mom. I don't even want to scroll down on her Instagram and show her baby because this is not really about Zoe Weiner, but congratulations to Zoe Weiner. She had a baby recently, as I can see on her Instagram, and that's very nice. There's nothing better in the world than being a parent. Zoe Weiner, however, if you look on her Instagram, you will find pictures of her with none other than HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton. HBIC, what is that? I don't know what HBIC stands for. There she is with Hillary Clinton. So here we have Candace Owens in 2015 dancing to Fetty Wap in a studio with a green screen alongside this young lady, Zoe Weiner, who is clearly very dear with Hillary Clinton. Now, this relationship between Zoe Weiner and Hillary Clinton is not just a one-time thing like, oh, look, I managed to get a photo op with Hillary Clinton. This is going back to Zoe Weiner's childhood. There is Zoe Weiner as a little girl with President Bill Clinton himself. And we have little Zoe Weiner with Hillary Clinton back in, I don't know, early 90s, I guess. Here's Zoe Weiner, and make sure this is coming up. Zoe Weiner, yes, and yes, it is working. There is Zoe Weiner and Hillary Clinton again, as she's, I don't know, a teenager. Maybe it looks like a birthday for somebody named Joe. I don't know whose birthday it was. We got another one of Hillary Clinton and Zoe Weiner at a book signing at let's see, where is it's at Sam's Club. Then we walked around and tasted all the free samples and got a jumbo case of cheese balls for the road. Well, that's not something that most people do, is hang out at Sam's Club and eat free samples with Hillary Clinton. I can say I've never ever done that. I don't know about you if you're watching this. And once again, we have Zoe Weiner with Bill Clinton. You know, this same Zoe Weiner who's dancing away, dancing with Candace Owens, the star of U.S.-Russia relations right now. Okay, where were we? There we got another, and okay, we're back to this. Okay, now we're gonna come back to Zoe Weiner and her significance, and this is it's essential. For that, the other thing I want to show about this is who made this video, this account from Momo NYC. Now, Momo NYC, this account, and Momo, or Allah, is your real name. I'm sorry, I don't want to show your children here. I'm really opposed to showing children, but you have them on your Instagram. You know, that's just the nature of putting them on public media. I really don't like doing that, and that's why I don't show my kid on social media, because I don't want their face out there. Nonetheless, this account Momo NYC that put out that video of Candace Owens over 10 years ago in 2015, dancing with Hillary Clinton BFF Zoe Weiner, is, let's look at his resume on LinkedIn here. Okay, so he worked for CBS News in the New York metropolitan area from January 2013 to July 2022. He was the director of video production of Bravo Media. All right, Bravo Media, here is its website, is a very clearly high-level media production agency in New York City that you can see they do stuff with T-Mobile. They have stuff at Times Square. This is not just, any company. The Late Show with Steve, or whatever his name is, Stephen Colbert. This is high level. This is probably as high level of media production as it gets. Projections onto airplanes, for example. Okay? So I don't, I mean, I can show you all kinds of crazy stuff they've done. We can go through their website, but I think you get the point. This is a major, high-level, high-dollar media production company that was where I don't know, Bensi, how you say that, how you say his last name there, was making in 2015. And you can see this is hashtag Bravo Media Inc. That's who he was doing it for. It wasn't a side thing. It was for this gigantic, very high-level, high-dollar media media agency. Okay? Now, let's scroll up a little more. Oh, wait, where are we? We're supposed to be right here. Let's scroll up a little more and see what Ala Bensi is doing now. Oh, look at that. Ala Bensi now works for the United States Secret Service as a content creator and brand strategist. Since, for the last 4 years and 1 month, he is the U.S. Secret Service's lead audio-visual production specialist. That's the guy who 10 years before, working for this elite media production agency in New York City, was filming Candace Owens and Zoe Weiner while they danced in front of a green screen. That's pretty remarkable. How do you get into the Secret Service lead audiovisual production specialist job, unless the company you're working for is part of that machine, part of that government establishment? And Bravo Media, there is very, very, very little information available about them to the public. I could hardly find anything about who's really running that, what's the money behind it. There's not much there. But this guy, this is an Egyptian, I assume maybe, I don't know if he's Egyptian American, grew up in Egypt, and then I think came to the United States and married. Good for him. He is working for the Secret Service. The Secret Service, who many are convinced staged an assassination attempt on Donald Trump in the lead up to the last election in Butler, Pennsylvania. Myself included. Count me among them. How come nobody's figured that out except Mark Kulak? Well, actually, no, sorry. Mark didn't figure this out. He figured out pretty much everything else, but I caught this. Nobody else figured this out. Okay, moving on. Here's another photo from... Okay, so here's a photo of them in front of the green screen. All right? So what this shoot was something called Degree 180. And that was Candace Owens' first sort of media venture, where she, along with Zoe Weiner, were made CEO and, I don't know, editor-in-chief. I think that was their positions of this thing called Degree 180. And Degree 180 was this, I it was basically a blog for like liberal kind of New York City young women. And let's see if I can pull up one of these blog posts. Okay, here we go. Here's where Candace Owens used to write, along with, so they had this thing called Degree 180, and then they had yeah, okay. So here's Degree 180. Here's where she used to write about in her earlier days about this was a blog post she wrote about why sleeping with older men, dating older men is good. She also had another blog post about why cheating is good. It's actually good for you. Why cheating on your partner is actually good for you. That's what Candace Owens was writing about in 2015. Okay? Here's another one she wrote. This one has been seen by probably not enough people, called News Update: The Republican Tea Party is led by the Mad Hatter. This is, of course, when Donald Trump was being pushed to the front of the Republican Party. And she says, the good news is they will eventually die off peacefully in their sleep, we hope. And then we can get right on with the obvious is in all caps, social change that needs to happen immediately. So that's what Candace Owens was writing about in 2015 when she was still, I guess, liberal, before she suddenly, overnight, transformed into a principled conservative who believes in family and country and God first. She was writing about why it's good to sleep with older men and cheat on them, and why women who have children and families are crazy. That's what she wrote about. And why Republicans need to, or will eventually, it's a good thing that they will die off. And then we can get into the obvious social change. That's Candace Owens. Now, the hand behind this operation is where we really start to see. Let me see if okay. Here, let's go back to Zoe Weiner's Instagram. There's little Zoe Weiner. There's Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton. And this jolly fellow holding Zoe Weiner is her father, a guy named Mark Weiner. Mark Weiner, as Mark has researched, Mark Kulak of Houstonic.live has researched extensively, and had people been watching those videos, except Mark is highly censored, is one of the biggest DNC donors ever. Mark Weiner worked with the Clintons, specifically Hillary Clinton, since the 1970s. Okay? Let me see if I can find the image I want. There we go. There's Mark Weiner when he worked on the Carter campaign, the Jimmy Carter campaign, along with Hillary Clinton. And he then went on to work in the Carter administration, in the White House. I think he was some kind of like secretary, scheduling, this kind of thing. Scheduling meetings, scheduling calls. I will get to the purpose of this. If you stay with the stream long enough, I will get to the purpose of why. What is the reason Candace has been put forward like this? Okay, just bear with me. So this is Mark Weiner, Zoe Weiner's father, who worked with the Clintons since all the way back to the days of Jimmy Carter, the late 19. This is the 1980 campaign trail. Okay, now Mark Weiner would go on to become the leading, the single producer of merchandise for every Democratic campaign since then. So for the Clinton campaigns, for the Obama campaigns, for the Gore, like all of these presidential campaigns, Mark Weiner was the guy. His company was producing the merchandise. And there are amazing articles you can find in the Washington Post and New York Times about how the DNC would actually send its goons to stands where they were selling merchandise promoting Obama or the Clintons or whatever it was that was not authorized by the DNC, and they would shut them down so Mark Weiner could have this monopoly. And he made a lot of money. And he became a power player in national politics, but especially in Rhode Island. That's who Mark Weiner was. Now, Mark Weiner died in, let's see, what year? Mark Weiner death in 2016. Okay, Mark Weiner passed away on July 26, 2016, at the age of 62. He was a prominent Rhode Island Democratic fundraiser, etc., etc. Okay. His company, well, here's just one more example of how prominent Mark Weiner was. Mark Weiner was named to the board of the Kennedy Center here in Washington, D.C. for the performing arts. And according to the New York Times, a seat on the board of the Kennedy Center is one of the most prized plums a president can bestow. That was given by President Bill Clinton to Mark Weiner, someone you've never heard of, who Candace Owens knows very, very well. So how come nobody's asking Candace Owens about her relationship with, Mark Weiner, Zoe Weiner? Her 1 degree of separation from her close association with one of the top Democratic fundraisers. I love the comments are just brilliant. Is this Zioville? Peace out. This is what you get on YouTube. Yes, me. I love the idea that if I point out that Candace Owens is actually a DNC operative, then that makes me, Dan Cohen, the guy who spent a lot of time in Gaza documenting mass murder by the Zionist state of Israel. That makes me a Zionist. Okay, got it. Feel free to log off. So, here's Mark Weiner's company, which still exists to this day. It's called Financial Innovations, and it actually is also behind the creation or the merchandise for many of your favorite progressive heroes, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They came up with this whole thing. We laid the foundation of a world-class merchandise program. Okay. What else we got? Here's more of financial innovations, I guess incorporated. I don't know what the other I is for. That Mark Weiner, the DNC, major DNC, the late Mark Weiner, who was a DNC donor and close friend of the Clintons. This is that his company created. So we have Starbucks Worker United, Planned Parenthood, AOC, Biden-Harris, the Democrats, etc., etc. Working Families Party, another tail of the Democratic Party. We have the DSA, the left flank, I guess, of the Democratic Party. The Green Party, which makes no progress in figuring anything out and just runs the lamest candidates possible. Josh Shapiro, the Democratic Governors Association, of which Mark Weiner was the president. Okay. It gets even better. Hold on. Here's their Twitter. Madam President, the Kamala Harris thing. Ready? Hold on. Let's keep going. DNC convention. Labor unions. More DNC. The Green New Deal. I like this one. This one is one of my favorites. Financial Innovations Inc., which funded the Democratic Party donor, the Democratic Party establishment. Have you checked out Breaking Points with Crystal and Sagar? Nobody ever noticed this tweet. It has 64 views. It doesn't have a single like, a single retweet. It's a fearless, anti-establishment, independent news show. We're proud to make their merch all 100% USA and union made. So what does that say about Breaking Points, this YouTube show that just kind of appeared out of nowhere? Not to get too off track here, but you can learn a lot, okay? Start with the trans workers, Starbucks Workers United. They did the merch for whatever campaign they were running. It's pretty remarkable. And we have the anti-Elon Musk poster promotion. I am stealing from you. Elon Musk, you're a very, very bad man. Except Elon Musk is, again, like, he's just an actor. He's not really in charge of anything, okay? So here we have, I think this is a remarkable clip of, okay, so Mark Weiner died in 2016. And there was a funeral for Mark Weiner in Rhode Island, where I don't know if he was from, but in Providence, Rhode Island, where he lived for many years. And I think we can learn a lot. Let's just watch some of this.
A longtime friend to many powerful Democrats has been laid to rest.
Both Bill and Hillary Clinton were among those who attended the funeral services of Mark Weiner this afternoon in Providence. The former president delivered the eulogy.
Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado was at the service. She joins us live to tell us how Mark Weiner was remembered.
Well, Mark Weiner's son, Steven, said that he had joked with his father that his funeral would be like if a pope, a king, and a president had all passed away at once. And
if a king, a pope, and a president had all passed away at once, this guy, Mark Weiner, that's what it was like. And nobody really knows anything about who this guy is, but his company was, his efforts were creating the phenomenon of Candace Owens, and his company would later make AOC's merchandise and Breaking Point's merchandise. That's who this guy is. Doesn't it show how little that most Americans know about how their country is actually being run?
was certainly a who's who of Democratic names at this synagogue for his funeral, including Bill and Hillary Clinton. The Clintons were among the crowd of politicians, leaders, and of course Mark Weiner's family and friends, paying their respects at Temple Bethel on the east side of Providence, where Weiner grew up. Former President Bill Clinton made a moving eulogy about his longtime friend. Mark Weiner worked with Hillary in 1976 on Jimmy Carter's campaign, befriending Bill as well and spending decades campaigning and fundraising for the two of them. He never missed a Democratic National Convention since 1976. In his eulogy about Weiner, Clinton says he loved helping people more than anyone I have personally known. You want to honor Mark Weiner today? Do something nice for someone. Before the ceremony, another famous name, the Reverend and civil rights activist Jesse Jackson, told me Mark was a giver, a selfless giver. He was that light in darkness.
That's why you had all these folks.
Jesse Jackson, who helped create Candace Owens from the start, when she allegedly was the victim of a hate crime in, I believe, her home state of Connecticut, where the future, then what would be the future governor's son and his friends in high school allegedly called her and left her a racist voicemail on her phone. And that became a national scandal in which Jesse Jackson stepped in, Mark Weiner's best friend, and made a huge, huge deal of it. Whether it happened or not, I don't know. But I do know that Jesse Jackson, who is very close with Mark Weiner, was there. Again, credit to Mark Kulak for digging this stuff up. This part is not my original research. This is Mark's research. Good on him for digging this up.
Folks here mourning his loss, because Mark was a giver. Mark was a person who gave love, and he received so much back because of what he gave to others.
House Speaker Nicholas Mattiello, one of so many Democrats, honoring Weiner.
He spent more time and was more concerned about making others feel better about themselves than he was himself, that he cared more about others and how he felt and how successful they were than himself. That defines him.
And former Providence Mayor Joe Paolino said that Weiner had already been fitted for a tuxedo in hopes of dancing with Hillary Clinton at the inaugural ball. Coming up new at 6.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty important guy, a pretty powerful guy that, again, for some reason, we've just never heard of Mark Weiner because, you know, independent journalism isn't a real thing anymore. getting on Twitter and being part of the national security theater, that's what journalism has been reduced to. Let's watch another video from the local WPRI channel in Rhode Island, so you can get a sense of how Candace Owens... These comments are hilarious. So you can get a sense of how influential Mark Weiner, who made Candace Owens, is in politics.
I was his brother. We were soulmates together as friends, and he trusted me, I trusted him, and he was a good person. A lot of people in life, they take. Mark was not a taker, he was a giver. All he did was kept on giving, and he kept on trying to help people and make life better for other people. He loved politics, he loved the game of it and all. He was an entrepreneur, he was a very good business person, but no matter what he was doing in life, if he could make somebody else's life better, he tried to make that happen. If you had a family member that had to get into the Mayo Clinic, you'd call Mark. If you had somebody a kid that you want to get into Georgetown, you say, gee, Mark, do you know anybody there? If you wanted somebody to get into the White House or somebody to get a ticket at a Super Bowl game, you'd call. Mark was always there. He was the go-to. He was that way in high school.
So Mark Weiner was able to just get anybody into the White House, into the Mayo Clinic. I don't know, maybe you need some cancer treatment or something your grandma does, or, you want to go to the Super Bowl? Hey, I'll just call Mark Weiner. Do you think Candace Owens ever just called Mark Weiner, needed a favor? So that's the basic story of the creation of Candace Owens. And keep in mind, as she's running that company, Degree 180, she also had that doxing website, Social Autopsy, which I think people know about, where she said we've collected names of people and identifying information of people who say mean things on the internet, and we're going to expose their identities, which is, the exact opposite, the diametric opposite of what someone who claims to believe in free speech would do. The opposite of what the image of Candace Owens would do. That's what Candace Owens is. This is a video of Candace Owens from 2016, before her overnight conversion to conservatism. So this is remarkable, and I think it says a lot about how Candace Owens was being groomed to be an influential left-wing figure. She was supposed to be influential for the left, is what I think. I think this is the right section.
Oh, wait until you see her nose.
Oh, well, hold on. We'll watch the other one first. You can tell this is just me. That's how you know. All right, here we go.
And by some random stroke of my own misfortune, one of those strangers happened to be the current governor of Connecticut's son. And so the issue...
So she's talking about the alleged hate crime that she suffered and when she was in high school, and how it's, that kind of thing is fueled by social media.
Very quickly became hashtag politics, and we all know that the figurative hurricane swept right on in.
So she's doing I should have said she's doing a TED Talk here called The Truth About Your Activism. Okay, so a couple of key things here, you'll see.
My face was splattered across high profile to analyze the voice messages and the voices on them. News stations would replay them over and over again because they wanted to make sure everyone was...
I think I have the wrong part queued up. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Here we go.
I'm going to politely ask you to just forget about them. Because the truth is, those children were not monsters. Those children were not hashtag racist.
Notice how she says hashtag a lot. Like, she's been coached to say that, to try to make hashtags relevant. I mean, this is 2016, when hashtags were still a thing. Why is she saying that? Because she's been coached to, because she's being groomed to be a social media influencer.
Or anything else. Those children, like me, were social lab rats. People tend to forget it, but it was us millennials that watched the world move from a beeper to a cell phone to text messages and videos sent around the world in what felt like a matter of nanoseconds.
That's true. That my generation, all that stuff appeared while I was an adolescent. She's a few years younger than me, Candace Owens, but roughly around the same time, instant messaging, AOL Instant Messenger, that stuff appeared. All that stuff appeared when we were kids, and there was no, nobody told us how to use it or how not to use it. That's true. She's gonna lie, though.
You see that green line that just starts trending upward right around 2012? That represents the increase in core digital technologies over the years. It was us millennials that were the school children of those technological advancements. We were the unwitting participants in a great social experiment.
Did that stop? Did that did that social experiment stop?
We were first handed AIM, and then it was Facebook and Twitter and hashtags with no formal guide as to how it might all play out because nobody knew. Nobody thought about it. Nobody considered or contemplated the social implications of all of these changes.
There's the lie. Nobody considered. Nobody thought about it. They just naturally produce. The social media companies, Silicon Valley and the US government just produced these messaging and social media platforms like Facebook without ever thinking what could happen. It's so stupid. That is a lie. The goal is to shape young people, is to use it as to lie, to carry out national security objectives. That is what those tools are for. She's lying to say, well, nobody ever thought about it.
I still don't actually think people are contemplating the social implications of all of these changes.
No, it's that you're lying to them about it. Okay, let's move on from this. There's one more very remarkable, extremely remarkable part to this clip, the one I was starting to show before. Right here, and this has been pointed out by Mark Kulak, by there's a conservative, YouTuber who pointed this out years ago, who was calling out Candace Owens as a fraud when she overnight became conservative. What do you notice in this shot? I don't know how well you can see it. She's doing a TED Talk, which is supposedly, ostensibly, that would be in front of an audience. What's happening here? You notice those are empty chairs. Do you see that on the bottom right? Those are just empty chairs. And there's a camera. That little light is a camera. She is talking to nobody. This is being prepared for an online audience. They just are supposed to pretend that it's a real audience. That's the illusion. And they messed up by showing that clip, that scene right there of Candace Owens pretending to talk to an audience.
We type, hit enter, send.
She's looking at nobody. We type, we hit enter. She's just reading the script because that's what she knows how to do. Yeah, we've looked at this. We've looked at this. Okay, so here's where she comes out in 2017. She just has this overnight conversion as a conservative. Okay, let's watch this and you can just get a sense of how fraudulent she is.
Mom, Dad, I'm a lesbian. I like girls. Oh, sweetheart.
See, what Candace Owens is an actor. She is an actor. She's good at acting. You can see I don't know if she's trained, but she likes doing that.
We always knew. The bottom line, we just want our children to be happy, and we love you regardless. Brave soul. Oh, thank you guys. Oh, also, I think I might be a conservative. I don't understand. I can't breathe. Hey, get that camera out of my wife's face. Get out of my face. Guys, it's totally fine. It's okay. I just, think a little more conservatively. But sweetheart, you're black. Yeah. Look, it was a crazy election cycle, a lot of emotions. We're going to get you somebody to talk to, and you're going to work through this entire mess. No, Dad, this is who I am. Oh, what about Beyonce? Yeah, what about Beyonce? You like Beyonce, you love Beyonce. Beyonce is a liberal. What's going on? I still do. It's just
Okay, I can't even watch this. It's so bad. But you can see a few months before she was writing about the obvious social change that needs to happen when conservatives or Republicans die off. And then she's doing this sketch where she plays 2 or 3 different characters, herself and I guess her father and her mother, and pretends she's becoming a conservative. And then that was taken seriously. She was promoted as some kind of real conservative. And all the way to the point where right now she is in St. Petersburg, Russia, being hailed as some new voice of diplomacy. That's how big this farce is and how far back it goes. Here's another thing I want to say. I did a stream about, I don't know, a couple weeks ago that I actually had to remove from YouTube. I had to pull it from YouTube. And it was about how the scripting is done. I'm saying that these are all scripted actors. The same thing that Mark Kulak says, the same thing that Jonathan Cooey of Giga Own Biological says. These are scripted actors. These are not their real thoughts. I don't know what the real Candace Owens thinks. Just like these are just actors, okay? The best way to understand how the theater operates is to watch. There's a Netflix documentary called WWE Unreal, and it's about wrestling, professional wrestling, and the concept is that they are taking you behind the scenes, breaking what is called kayfabe, this ethic that has long existed in wrestling that you always stay in character, you don't break the illusion. But in this documentary, they sort of pretend they partially break the illusion and show you how the scripting is done. They take you inside the writer's room, and the key figure, a couple things. One of the owner of the WWE is the WME group, which is run by Ari Emanuel, the same guy who represents Hassan Piker and Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn and Hillary Clinton and many, 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 many other entertainers and politicians. And he's also the guy who, Ari Emanuel, also runs the UFC. His company also owns the UFC, which is currently constructing a cage or whatever to have a match in front of the White House. And Ari Emanuel was Donald Trump's agent for many years. So he owns the WWE too, and comes from this prominent Democratic family, as I said before. He owns the WWE too. And this documentary purportedly shows you how the scripting is done, and they show you different methods for scripting. And the key, the guide, the narrator through the documentary is the retired professional wrestler Triple H, aka Paul Levesque, whose mother-in-law is currently the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. And Paul Levesque himself is some kind of, Trump appointed him as like special envoy for, I don't know, athleticism, something like that. And they I think intentionally reveal, as they want to, how wrestling is scripted. But if you apply those same methods to politics, then you get to understand how people like Candace Owens or Hassan Piker or Tucker Carlson or whoever else is scripted. And I have this soundbite. Actually, I did a whole video on this, and I just showed trailers. I didn't even show the Netflix documentary itself on Netflix because I knew that would have to be taken down. I thought I'd be able to comment on trailers that they have on YouTube, but I couldn't even do that. They forced me to take it down, or else my channel will be like, I'll get a strike or removed or something. It is still up at stream.uncaptured.media. You can see it there. But one of the key clips that really summarizes it is, I just have the soundbite here. Listen.
So you have to know where everything is going long-term and way in advance.
So that is Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, saying that this is how you script things. You're thinking of storylines way in advance. You all have all these different characters. You make them rise, you make them fall, and you have to be thinking about the storyline way in advance.
So you have to know where everything is going long-term and way in advance.
That's him admitting it. People have to be able to understand how it is. So that's what's going on with Candace Owens. This is part of her arc. But, you know, it has to, not only does it have to make sense in real life, it has to work in real life. It has to be believable to some degree. The script has to make sense with reality. Okay? So that's what Candace Owens is. That's what's going on with Candace Owens. Somebody is scripting her to see how she does. And that's same with, you know, Nick Fuentes, all these people. They see how the audiences respond to them. But Candace Owens is a special talent. She's attractive, young, speaks well, has some kind of presence about her. And at this stage in her life they've made her believable as some kind of character. I really think of Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Donald Trump, all the kind of like big right-leaning people, figures in media and politics as parodies of American conservatism. I call myself a conservative. I don't know. I don't call myself a liberal. I don't call myself a progressive. I don't know. I just don't fit into any of those labels. I just find them all limiting. I find them kind of just boring. I'm an American. My name's Dan Cohen. I'm a journalist. But these people are it's like if the Democratic National Committee was sitting there trying to figure out, we want to discredit middle America. How could we do that? Well, you would just create these phony conservative characters and try to get them out front so people believe this is what middle America is really about. You would have, you know, the UFC, what John McCain once called human cockfighting, and you would have that in front of the White House. Because that looks insane. That looks ridiculous. You'd normalize that. It's like that movie Idiocracy, but they're like trying to make it, you know, real life. Instead of a weird kind of eugenicist fantasy about how poor people have too many kids, it's the stupids have taken over. And that's what MAGA and Donald Trump and Candace Owens are about in many ways. So there's no way anybody could believe that this is real. That Candace Owens, this actor who not long before was saying that she was writing in blog posts that conservatives or Republicans will soon die off and we can move on with the necessary social change, and is doing a video about about her overnight conversion to conservatism. It's totally absurd. Another point that I actually skipped over that's very important is right here. And again, this is like such, I'm just brushing over so many aspects of this, of the Candace Owens sort of arc. I don't want to call it I'm so bored of the term psyop. It's so overused, I think, but the character of Candace Owens. So back in so this is her TED Talk page when she did this TED Talk, which we just, you know, saw, where it was not in front of an audience. Even though this shows an audience, right? This little tiny picture right here shows an audience. It was not actually filmed in front of an audience. And this is her profile. And she's founder of Social Autopsy, a startup aimed at creating a technological solution to cyberbullying. I'm gonna bring myself back. Prior to her entrepreneurial pursuits, Owens attended the University of Rhode Island, you know, where Mark Weiner could just make a phone call and get her in, majoring in journalism, and took executive courses thereafter at NYU Stern School of Business. Owens also put in 4 years at a private equity firm in Manhattan, serving as vice president to their administration. How did this 20-something millennial at that point get a job at a private, who has no experience in business? She took some executive courses at NYU Stern School of Business. How did she get into this firm? And what firm is it? That question has never been asked. No one is asking that question. No one is asking the question, what private equity firm did Candace Owens work for 4 years, rising all the way to be vice president to their administration? That's a real question that should be asked. And if anyone did that, I think she wouldn't know what to say. If somebody asked her about her relationship with Mark Weiner, the DNC donor and merchandise producer, she wouldn't know what to say. But instead, none of these people, I mean, these are Russians, it's hard to blame them, but like the Americans have never, ever, ever bothered to look at that. Look at who Candace Owens follows on X. Here's her X account, or the X account that belongs to her, that who knows if she's even managing. Okay, you have a bunch of conservative figures. I don't know, Hunter Biden, who she just interviewed. Well, that would make sense that she's rehabilitating the image of Hunter Biden if she's a DNC operative, and now Hunter Biden's telling the truth about the Trumps. Oh, really? Hunter Biden is really that's a voice of truth right there. Pedro Sanchez, the NATO left party leader in Spain. Joe Kent, who is the Israel forced Trump to bomb Iran. Okay, let's keep going down. Let's go. Oh, there we go. Look who Candace Owens follows and collaborates with. Max Blumenthal, my old, colleague and friend. Consider that Max Blumenthal is the son, of course, of Sidney Blumenthal, the DNC hatchet man, and Max Blumenthal rebelled against his DNC hatchet man father, and his arc went from like shilling for Obama, shilling for regime change in Syria, and then at the same time being like pro-Palestine and being very critical of Israel. All the way, his arc went all the way in a big circle to now collaborating with the DNC fraud, the DNC character of Candace Owens. It doesn't get more pathetic than that. It really doesn't. Max Blumenthal and Candace Owens, or whoever's running Candace Owens' account or whatever, collaborated when Charlie Kirk was taken off the stage. And notice I didn't say dead when he was killed. Everyone just has the assumption that Charlie Kirk was really actually killed. Instead of taken off the stage, the National Security Theater, for saying the wrong thing. Candace Owens, Max Blumenthal, and Jackson Hinkle were key in promoting the narrative that Israel did it because he criticized Zionism. And another one, this lady, Village Crazy Lady, this Twitter account that appeared pretty much out of nowhere and just talks about Israel nonstop. She was very big on promoting the idea that Israel did it, and the theory that was promoted was that Israel killed Charlie Kirk because he was on his way to becoming very critical of Israel, and he opposed the war on Iran, even though he actually praised Trump when Trump bombed Iran on his Twitter account. And Charlie Kirk was killed in the most visible manner possible in order to shut up critics of Israel so they wouldn't talk about Israel anymore. But except if you go on any social media, people talk about Israel nonstop. So why is it, if that were true, why is it that Charlie Kirk got killed for talking about Israel, but everybody else just talks about Israel nonstop? Is Israel stupid? I don't think so. The state of Israel, I do not support at all. I'm very much against it. First and foremost, because I am an American Jew, and the national ideology of Israel is Zionism, and Zionism states that Judaism is a nationality, and therefore I cannot be an American Jew. I can only belong to the Zionist project, which is ridiculous. That is an attack on the American nationality, that it should offend every American and everyone else. That's an attack on nationalism, in fact, this fake nationalism known as Zionism. And Palestinians are the victims of that. That's why they're being killed. Because if you are a nation, what do you need? Land. If you're a fake nation, what do you need to make yourself real? Well, you need to take land. That's Zionism explained in a couple seconds, which no one else does. So these people think Israel did it because Charlie Kirk was supposedly becoming critical of Israel, even though he cheered on Trump for amazing job bombing the nuclear reactor. Because Charlie Kirk was scripted. He was just a scripted actor, just like all these people. He just got off script when he talked about India. In India, when he said, maybe I can see if I can find, I don't know, I'll see if I can find the clip. Charlie Kirk, India-Pakistan war. Well, here we go. Let's see if this will work.
India and Pakistan are on the verge of a war. What does this mean exactly? Well, here's the basics. Pakistan is 100% Muslim. Remember, they sheltered bin Laden and have been a very, very sneaky actor. India is mostly Hindu. They don't care for each other much at all. There's a region called the Kashmir that they dispute. There was just a Muslim terrorist attack on tourists there, which Pakistan seems to be linked to, so India is furious. There were air and missile strikes on 9 different sites in Pakistan, killing a few dozen people. Reportedly, some airplanes have been lost on both sides. These are big countries. They have more than 1.7 billion people between them and lots of people. That said, very simple. This is not our war. Maybe we slightly favor India because they're retaliating to Islamic terror, but that should go no further than moral support. That is it. This is not our conflict to get involved in. I do not believe this will escalate in any way, shape, or form to nuclear power.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what Charlie Kirk said? He said something that you're really not supposed to say that might offend the Indians, which have by far the largest presence in the American national security apparatus. What people think Israel is, controlling America, it's India. Our ruling class, I mean, I wasn't even planning on getting into this, so I'm not going to go too far, but that's the real agenda here. And that's what Mark Kulak has pointed out. Mark Kulak was the one who pointed out that Charlie Kirk was saying that the U.S. should not get involved in the India-Pakistan war. It wasn't long after that Charlie Kirk was taken off the stage. That's why Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, they all know that he's not dead. They know he got off script. That's why they can laugh about it. Remember at the Charlie Kirk memorial when Tucker Carlson did his fake laugh? That's why he can laugh about his friend being killed, because he wasn't actually killed. That's why Candace Owens isn't actually emotionally distraught about her friend getting murdered on television, on live television, or whatever, in front of, in a graphic, gruesome way, caught on film, because she knows he's not dead. He's just taken off the stage. We're not going to be seeing him anymore. That's why Erica Kirk can do what she's doing. And everyone's like, man, she's acting real weird. She must be behind it. And that's what the real agenda is, okay? Here's another nice piece of evidence that the real agenda The real agenda. Why? So then the question is, why are they so heavily focused on Israel? Does Candace Owens care about, I don't know, genocide? Does she care about Palestinians? I don't think so. Because Candace Owens was there at the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem back in 2018, when Palestinians were being mowed down in Gaza, when people were protesting against the opening of the American embassy in Jerusalem on stolen land. And who was there? I'm pretty sure Charlie Kirk was there, and Candace Owens. And that's just like erased from the record. Now, why is that? So she doesn't really care. She never cared. There's no way you could suddenly be like, well, I was perfectly fine with, watching people be like slaughtered. It's not like people didn't know what was going on then. So she doesn't care. So what is it really about? Well, what happened right before October 7th? Look at this Times of Israel article from September 22nd, 2023. Netanyahu addressed the United Nations on the cusp of historic Saudi-Israel peace. Now, Netanyahu, look at his map. He is downplaying the most important part here. Look at this map. I pulled it up. That's amazing. The new Middle East. This new Middle East connects Europe through Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar to what? The middle of the Indian Ocean? The middle of the Indian Ocean? No, that's not where it's supposed to go. Netanyahu, just like Candace Owens, is downplaying what this is really about. INDIA. Here's from his speech. Oh, it's not that part. 2 weeks ago, so this is for September 2023, right before October 7th, Netanyahu says, we saw another blessing already in sight. In the G20 conference, President Biden, Prime Minister Modi, and European and Arab leaders announced plans for a visionary corridor that will stretch across the Arabian Peninsula and Israel. It will connect India to Europe with maritime links, rail links, energy pipelines, fiber optic cables. That's what it's about. It's not about little Israel of like several million people. Not that powerful. Israel's at best secondary in this corridor. There are other options. It's about India, connecting India to the Gulf and Europe. Israel's just a little stepping stone. India has the world's largest population. India has a young population that is growing. That's what this is about. The U.S., the Western ruling class, has thrown its lot in with India. This has been going on for a couple of decades, this project, to the point where now, I did a stream about 2 weeks ago where I showed that the figure tasked with overseeing the U.S. response to the opioid crisis is in fact from the very same place where fentanyl is mostly coming from, India, and he's the son of a secret Indian diplomat. The head of our NIH is from India. Tulsi Gabbard, who was recently resigned from as director from the Office of Director of National Intelligence, belongs to a cult that is an Indian cult that is firmly aligned with the political party, the BJP, of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Modi. She is such a huge fan of Modi, Tulsi Gabbard is, in fact, that when she met him, she gifted him her personal copy of the Hindu sacred text. When Tulsi Gabbard, after she was confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, she took a trip to India and spoke in front of at a big conference and said that the Indo-Pacific is the geopolitical center of gravity of the 21st century. Bill Clinton wrote a speech decades ago, explaining how India had a choice to make. If it was going to develop, then it would develop into it would have the ability to accomplish all the dreams of mankind. Our ruling class sees its future with India. It's not the US. The future is not going to be dominated by the US. It's not going to be dominated by Russia. It's not going to be dominated by China, the three countries that we hear about a lot. We have aging populations. Our heyday as a big power is not, it's ending. India is the short and medium term future. Maybe they'll have population problems at some point too, but that's just reality. Again, these are points that have been elaborated by Mark Kulak of Housatonic.live and by Jonathan Cooey of GigaOhm Biological. Two people that I've learned a great deal from and continue to. And if you want to get off of, if you want to, it's not about just unplugging from not watching the show, the theater. Well, where do you turn to? I mean, people want to know what's going on. Those are two places that you can start. And I'm trying to contribute to do my very best here too. So that's what this agenda is really about. Candace Owens is just an actor. She's just a DNC actor. And she's probably heavily funded through India. And a lot of people are. Watch this. Tucker Carlson was in India recently. Somehow, nobody noticed it. Every Tucker Carlson clip, people clip out, Tucker Carlson himself clips out, or not himself, but his team, whoever's running his operation, clips out material from his interviews all the time. His Tucker Carlson network shows, those are viral clips all the time. Him saying the most profound things. This actor, Tucker Carlson, who's again what a DNC elite would want to be a leader of conservatives in America, of middle America. They clip that stuff out all the time. When he's on his set, in his home with his flannels and his elk head on the wall and talking about shotguns and hunting and chewing tobacco. Somehow they missed this one.
So among all the leaders that you have interviewed, who do you think came across as perhaps most direct and honest?
Well, that would be off camera. I mean, there are a couple of them I know pretty well who are so smart, and I wish they were Western leaders, but they're not. And I grieve. I am very Western. I mean, my ancestors are from Europe. I live in the United States. I'm never leaving. I'm not from the global South. I'm from the global far North. Okay, so that's just who I am. And I wish we had great leaders. And we have had a lot of great leaders in the past. William the Conqueror was a great leader. But we don't have a lot of them right now. And you go to some of these other countries, particularly in this region right here, the Middle East or India, whether you like Modi or not, Modi's impressive. Nobody doubts that.
Modi's impressive. You see how he's being he's kind of has to be a little bit understated because he doesn't want to reveal it. Tucker was in India, and I think the kids call it glazing. Don't they call that glazing? Modi? Modi was in Israel with Netanyahu right before the war in Iran that Tucker supposedly opposes started. Do you think India plays a role in that? India, the largest population in the world, the largest supplier or purchaser of Israeli weapons, provided bombs to Israel to drop on Gaza. Some of those were made in India. It's almost like India is playing this massive role that's being covered up. Just like Candace Owens' DNC roots are covered up. the real nature of Candace Owens, the real nature of Tucker Carlson, the real nature of what is happening in the United States, in the West, this all over the world, the geopolitical realignment that has been going on for the last 3 decades. But if you're on Twitter, you're just going to be thinking, Israel, Israel, Israel. That's why we were allowed to see in such high detail the extermination of Gaza. That's why videos went viral so much. That's why if I say death to Israel or something on Twitter, I'll go viral. I'll get 1,000 retweets and people will be like, yeah, Dan, that's awesome. But if I say something that is true, what is this video of Candace? Why is Candace Owens close with major DNC donors? I get like, and I'm going to expose it right now, I get 0 retweets. And let's see what I'm at now. 4, I have 5 likes on my tweet promoting this. It's all controlled. It's all fake. It's not real. Okay? So the idea is to focus on the crimes of little Israel. And that's not to say they're not real crimes, and they're big crimes. And to totally distract from the real geopolitical alignment going on. That's why all of a sudden everybody, all these big conservative figures have just suddenly figured out. Look at how Tucker has become anti-Israel. He's accusing Netanyahu of genocide, now that it's June of 2026. But meanwhile, when the bulk of the obliteration of babies was going on, he really couldn't choose a side. He couldn't. It was just kind of on the fence. I like Israel. I'm American. I don't know. But now it's Netanyahu's a baby killer, according to Tucker Carlson. That's called running out the clock. Notice they're all these supposed conservative social media voices are all becoming critical of Israel all at the same time. It's almost like it's scripted.
So you have to know where everything is going long-term and way in advance.
That's it right there. So thank you all for joining. I'm going to leave it there. It's almost 4 o'clock here in Washington, D.C. I'm going to go be with my family, and I suggest you do the same and stop using Twitter. I propose, I fully endorse Jonathan Cooey's call to unplug from social media, to get off of social media, and to love thy neighbor, as Jonathan Cooey says, but also it's from the Bible. So thank you all for joining. My name is Dan Cohen. Stop watching these monsters. Stop participating in their game, and I just my tagline that I'm still trying to remember is to speak the truth on social media is to pour fresh water into the sea, and to seek the truth is to try to drink that fresh water from the ocean in return. So this is Uncaptured Media, Thursday, June 4th, signing off at 3:56 p.m. Thanks a lot.